There's a heavy police presence in Istanbul's Taksim Square a day after dozens were injured in violent clashes. The police meetings on the protests, which have gone on for almost 2 weeks now. Overnight, some 30,000 protesters were involved in running battles with riot police, as Sky's Katie Stallard reports from Istanbul.
The authorities say this will continue now day and night until this square is cleared. The government considers this an illegal uprising, and the police have been ordered to shut it down. Into the early hours, they fired tear gas and water cannon. They surrounded the protesters inside the park. But out of the darkness came back hundreds of voices, defiant.
And the police are just as exhausted as the protesters here, but they are massing here again in numbers, preparing to move back down to the south of the square. The core group of protesters are still in the park behind us. We're being told there are many injured among them. And this is what is happening here still now, hour after hour through the night.
Overnight, the clear-up teams moved in to prepare the ground for day 2.
They're using heavy equipment to lift out what is there. They are clearing anything from this square that can be turned into a weapon against them.
This started here as a small environmental protest, but they are fighting now, they say, for freedom and democracy. But even if they physically clear this square now and move those inside on, that won't extinguish what this has started and what these protests are about. Katie Stallard, Sky News, Taksim Square, Istanbul.
Let's get more from our foreign affairs correspondent Lisa Holland, who's here. And Lisa, we're looking at the live shot there this morning at Taksim Square. And although a lot of people there milling around, you can see the barricades and obviously the devastation that was caused by what's been happening overnight. It looks relatively calm there at the moment.
Yes, according to the latest reports, the police have apparently successfully managed to clear Taksim Square. You can see the traffic moving through, which you wouldn't have seen 24 hours ago. Bulldozers moving in to clear some of the wreckage, although the nearby Gezi Park, which was the trigger of the original protests and opposition for that to be bulldozed and built upon, there are still people there, but according to reports, the police are saying they have no plans to try to move into Gezi Park. It doesn't necessarily mean it's over, of course. As we know with protest movements, they can go away and regroup and live another day.
And talks due to be held today. The Prime Minister is going to be speaking to protesters, is he, or to lead members of the group? Could we expect results from that?
I have to say I feel quite sceptical about the notion of talks. He has said that he will hold talks today, but when you look at the fine detail of exactly who he's going to be talking to, he is saying that he plans to meet with an actress, a singer and a writer who he hopes can help mediate. Now, according to the protest groups, they say that these characters, the actress, the singer and the writer, actually have nothing to do with what's going on at the moment. And even if the Prime Minister, Erdogan, had asked them to go and meet with him, their answer would be no. So I don't feel like there's going to be any kind of significant breakthrough today between these two sides.
And looking ahead, I mean, we know the reason for these protests beginning in the first place was against a development, but there has also been protests against the Prime Minister's rule as well. So what's going to be the future outlook for this?
Well, I think that as we've seen, protests right across Turkey, some 60 of the 80 or so provinces inside Turkey have seen some kind of protest or other. I think that the Prime Minister himself will probably want to illustrate to the world and to everybody else, and domestically as well, that he enjoys plenty of support internally, that this is not an Arab Spring, it's not an uprising, this is a protest movement against something quite specific, the direction of the country. Remember that Turkey has had democratic elections and Prime Minister Erdogan has won them 3 times. So I think what we're probably likely to see are him rallying his own supporters. There are plans for support rallies for him in Istanbul and Ankara over the course of the weekend.
And how is the way the authorities have dealt with this being viewed? Because we saw hundreds of riot police go in to try to clear these protesters.
Yeah, he's taken a very firm hand. The protests, of course, have been going on for some time, into their second week, and things really reached a fever pitch yesterday morning when he sent in the riot police with the tear gas and the water cannon to push them back. Enough was enough, he said. He called the protesters vandals and terrorists, and he's accused them of being whipped up by an international conspiracy to undermine the Turkish economy. Of course, that's not the way they see it at all. They see this as a line in the sand, that their rights as a secular nation have been eroded over a long period of time. So I think that Turkey, in the long term, is most definitely at a crossroads, but Prime Minister Erdogan is showing a very hard line with these protesters at the moment.
OK, Lisa, thanks very much. We will, of course, be keeping an eye on that situation throughout the day here on Sky News.